Antoine Martel of Martel Turnkey is a real estate investment expert from San Mateo, California. As a licensed real estate agent and experienced investor himself, Antoine helps new and seasoned investors realize their financial goals. His proven real estate investment strategies have enabled countless clients throughout California to realize passive income and financial freedom through out-of-state turnkey rental properties. Before he had even graduated with a degree in entrepreneurship, Antoine had already secured multiple cash-flowing properties for the new family business, Martel Family Realty, which evolved into what is now Martel Turnkey. Antoine Martel is now a nationally recognized real estate expert with tens of thousands of followers. He is an inspiration to both millennials and generations from every decade, including me.
Presenting the PR Maven podcast, hosted by Nancy Marshall, the PR Maven, targeted at business leaders who want to merge the best techniques of traditional networking with the best new platforms and technologies to engage your target audience, build your network, and grow your brand and business. The podcast is sponsored by Marshall Communications, Maine-based, globally connected. As we get ready for another great episode, remember, you can always connect with Nancy and other listeners on the PR Maven Nation group page on Facebook. Now, here's your host, Nancy Marshall.
Okay, so to kick things off, Antoine, tell us about your career and how you got into it in the first place.
Sure. So I was at college. I was studying entrepreneurship at Loyola Marymount University here in LA. I didn't want to graduate and go and work for somebody else. I wanted to have my own business. I was studying entrepreneurship, so I wanted to have my own company. And while I was at university, my brother dragged me and my dad to a real estate investing seminar. We learned about flipping houses, how to invest in real estate, all that kind of stuff. And from there, I just became super intrigued in real estate investing. And then kind of my last year at university, I started networking with a bunch of people, learning about what the best course of action was going to be for me in terms of real estate and flipping houses. And finally, my last semester at LMU, before I graduated, I went to Memphis, Tennessee, took some of my dad's money, which was $50,000, went to Memphis, bought a house, renovated it, rented it out, and then did a refinance on that property and just started growing the family portfolio. And when I graduated, I asked my dad if I can just continue growing the family portfolio after graduating. And he said yes. And he said he would pay for my expenses to do so until I could, really figure it out. And by the end of that year, I had bought 10 properties and had kind of grown the family's portfolio. And that's how everything kind of started.
It's really remarkable what you've done. And also the fact that your father had, I don't know whether it was the audacity or, that he was willing to invest in your dream like that and, not be afraid of destroying your relationship. Was there a fear of that?
No, because ever since I was a little kid, my dad has always been investing in me and investing in my little companies. So ever since I was, 15 years old, I think 15 or 14, I started my first company, and I went to my dad and said, "Hey, Dad, I need to order these items from China and I'm going to sell them all to my kids at school." And he's like, "Okay, well, what's the business plan? How much money do you need? And here's how much profit, how am I going to get my money back?" And I would have to convince him to invest with me. So all of that practice growing up as a kid kind of made it, just another investment between me and my father when it was actually, instead of $2,000, now it was $50,000. But again, I had to make that business plan and make sure that he was paid back. And I think he just believed in me and trusted in the process.
I my hat's off to both of you, actually, you and your dad. And you're working together still today, right?
Yeah. And so he actually quit his full-time job. He's been working full-time for the last couple of years. Finally built up the business to a point where he is able to come and work for the company full-time. So he finally retired from his day job for the last 40 years, and now he's working with the company full time. So yeah, it's a big accomplishment that just happened actually last week.
And your brother works with you as well, right?
Yep, that's right. So my brother, he's a younger brother. He was a realtor in the San Francisco Bay Area. He actually sold my parents' house when they sold it, and he started to get into the business a little bit while he was a realtor, and then eventually I really just needed his help and needed him to hop on full time. So at the beginning of 2019, he quit being a realtor in the Bay Area, and he came and joined the company as well. And so he handles all of our acquisitions. So every time we buy something, it goes through Etienne's hands.
Well, again, I really admire you, and a lot of family businesses could probably learn from your experience. If you had it to do over again, would you do anything differently?
Not really. I would have brought my brother in maybe a little bit earlier and just given him the right tasks to do. It's hard when you first start a company and you're kind of doing everything from A to Z, and then you're like, which task should I give off first, or what should I, train or educate this person about first? Hindsight's 2020. I would have just given him, the task that he has now, right? But when you're growing and when you're scaling and when you're doing everything from A to Z, it's kind of hard to see what the right course of action is and what thing you're going to need the most help on in the future.
I totally understand that. I've had a public relations agency for almost 30 years now. And even now, there are things like, okay, I'm doing some things that probably I should delegate, but do I want to train somebody and then manage somebody? And sometimes I just do things myself.
Yeah, I agree.
So I often tell people, I don't think it ever really gets easy. It just changes.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So have you used PR and social media techniques to promote your business or to build your network personally? And can you give an example of what you've done?
Oh, yeah. So I'm big on PR, social media, and marketing. If you ask me if I liked marketing, I'd probably say no. But if you watch what I do, 90% of what I do is actually just marketing related and trying to make real estate attractive and real estate investing attractive to people so that they come and invest with me, right? So there's a couple of ways that I do it kind of uniquely to the real estate space. And it was also big when I first started kind of in the educating process. There's a big real estate forum called biggerpockets.com, and they have like over a million members on there. And when I was first starting, when I was like 19 years old, still in college, I would go on that website every day and just message as many people as possible and say, hey, I'm a college student. I'm looking to be a real estate investor. See that you did this, and this thing. I'd love to take you out for coffee and just pick your brain. And, every day, every other day, I would go and meet these people and kind of learn and educate myself about real estate and how people were having success in real estate and real estate investing. And then that's kind of part of the education process. But then more so today, I'm using social media a lot to drive traffic to my companies and also to just grow my personal brand. So I do a lot of stuff on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I post articles on Bigger Pockets. And I probably had the most success on Instagram. So I post a lot of not really selling houses per se or anything about my business. It's more just personal brand and who I am and the things that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. So I'll post stuff like, oh, here I bought this house. This is what the numbers look like. This is the renovation we're doing. Here's before and after photos, and kind of educating other people and kind of just by documenting my process and, what it takes and showing the behind the scenes of flipping 100 homes a year is kind of what the mentality has been for all the social media and PR on Instagram.
Wow. 100 houses a year you're flipping.
Yeah.
Yeah. I imagine that could be stressful.
Yeah. I'm sitting next to paperwork for 3 houses that I'm selling tomorrow that I have to go notarize after this. So yeah, it's a lot of, there is a lot of, but again, once you delegate certain things like, big chunks of the company are passed off to other people to handle. Now I, can just kind of sign the paperwork at the end of the day when the transaction has been fully completed. So delegating has been a big part of the success in order to get that to 100 homes a year. And, when you're doing 10 homes a month, yeah, there is a lot of things to manage for sure.
Right. So what markets are you in? Are you national now, Antoine?
Yes, we are. So I'm still based out of Los Angeles. My brother's based out of Los Angeles. But we invest in all across the country. So we're in Memphis, Cleveland, Birmingham, and St. Louis. Those are our main 4 markets that we're investing in.
Cool. Well, I looked at your website earlier and I noticed you have a chat bot. So
yeah,
one of your, I think it was Angela, popped up and we had a nice little chat.
Good. Glad she's on there. Yeah. So we actually just, we upgraded to like a newer CRM called Zoho. And so that's part of the reason why we're able to do so many projects as well, is because we have a lot of automation and stuff like that as well. And part of that whole Zoho package was installing that bot. And you'd be surprised on the amount of people who reach out through the bot and how many homes we sold through just having that very simple, very basic somebody online on the website who can answer, our clients' questions.
Well, the whole platform of my podcast is about the combination of using social media and in-person networking to grow your network and grow your brand. And it just seems like actually using a chatbot, that's a perfect example because I made a little connection with Angela. I remember her name now. And I'd like to talk to her again. She was very nice and very responsive. And I told her that I was going to be interviewing you on my podcast, and she said something appropriate and nice back. So kudos to her. But yeah, that's a perfect example that, you're on a website and having just that human contact, it strengthens your brand.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think also just putting a face to the brand and a face to the product, right? So you're not buying a house, you're actually they're kind of an investor with us, right? It's not, they're just buying a product from us and walking away. We're here to help them throughout the process. And a lot of what we do is service-based, and we're selling a product, but then we provide a lot of services around that, meaning we help them get financing, insurance, property management. There's a lot of other things that we help our clients get. So yeah, the customer service is very important in our business.
That's really great. I admire you for what you're doing and the fact that you're expanding nationally and, again, doing it as a family business and, obviously as a young entrepreneur. And I think it's great that you've been an entrepreneur all along. I know that I have too. I sold seeds and stationery and all kinds of things in my neighborhood when I was little.
Yeah, me too.
I would come knocking on the door of my neighbors and they'd look at me and sometimes they would say is this for a charity, Nancy? And I'd be like, no, it's my business.
Yeah, I have one story like that too. I was growing up, my neighbor had a plum tree and he was around the same age as me. Every summer we would take his wheelbarrow, unload the plum tree and go carry all the plums around to the neighbors. And every summer we would sell his tree. By the end of the summer would be bare. There would be nothing on it. It sold all the plums every year.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Of course, you probably didn't provide any return on investment to his parents for having bought the tree.
Nope. It was a money tree for us.
That's right. Yeah, that's great. So what are some of the obstacles to success in your career, Antoine, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, for the business, just because the business for me, like the business that I'm in, is very cash heavy. So it takes a lot of cash. I mean, imagine we have 50 properties under construction right now, and each of those is $50,000. It's a lot of money that you have out at any given time and for a long period of time, because a renovation can be a month, it could be 3 months, it can be 5 months. So that's something with the business. With social media and marketing and PR related, it's consistency. And I think that consistency plays a big role in the success of having successful PR and social media presence and building that brand. So I try to post on a daily basis on multiple different platforms. So every week I'm posting a podcast. Every day I'm trying to post on Instagram and on Instagram stories. Every week I'm posting a Bigger Pockets article. I'm posting a LinkedIn article. So it's getting the consistency down. And when I was, one man show kind of starting off, building that brand, it was much more difficult to manage because you have all these different platforms that you're supposed to be posting on as much as possible. And then as you get a little bit bigger, you're able to hire on other people who can kind of manage your PR for you. And that's really when I've seen things kind of skyrocket, is when there is a plan in place and that consistency is there. And then people also have a lot more content of yours to enjoy. So it's not just you have one post on Bigger Pockets, for 2019, you have 10 of them, and people can read one article and then they read the other and then they read the other. And now they're on your personal website. Now they're on your business website, and now they're kind of enamored with you and what you're doing, and they know everything about you.
Right. And again, they're more likely to trust you and want to do business with you once they've spent all that time learning about you.
Yep, I agree.
Cool. Well, this has been great so far. We're going to continue more in a moment with Antoine, but now it's time for our book and things to do today pad giveaway. I have a book called PR Works, and we have our PR Maven Nation Things to Do Today pad that we're going to give away. You just have to go to prmaven.com/giveaway, and you could be our next winner. So we're going to be back in just a moment after we hear a little bit about the Marshall Plan. Effective marketing is all about targeting your ideal audience with your ideal messages and your ideal media. That's the idea behind the Marshall Plan 65-step process. We have refined and tweaked the Marshall Plan process over the past 20 years because we aim to help our clients to come up with a strategy for their marketing that identifies their ideal audience, messages, and cost-effective media to connect their messages with their audience. For example, if you're running a McDonald's franchise, you probably don't want to target vegans. And if you have a vegan restaurant, you probably don't want to target people who love McDonald's. So that's the process we go through. We get up in the helicopter and we fly around together and look down at your business and come up with the best strategy and ways to measure your success. Check out marshallpr.com and learn more about the Marshall Plan. And thanks for listening to the PR Maven podcast today. Welcome back. And today we're talking with Antoine Martel, owner of Martel Turnkey. And I'm going to dive right back in with some more questions about his innovative marketing, PR, and social media strategy. So, Antoine, how do you measure success in your PR, social media, and marketing?
I would say engagement for me is probably the thing that I try to track the most. And engagement could be likes or views. But I also think that, comments or people actually interacting with you and sending me private messages or DMs on Instagram is probably the thing that I keep the most eye out for. So some people will watch a piece of my content, then send it to me and say, "Hey man, I just watched this video. I have this, and this question." So that means that it's a good piece of content, in my opinion. And it means it has some sort of traction because it's getting people thinking. And it means that, the point that I was trying to get across came across in the right way, and they understood what I was trying to say or get at. So for me, it's not really about how many followers you have. I'd rather have 1,000 followers, but 1,000 people comment or interact with me on a daily basis than have 1 million followers and have 5,000 people who kind of interact with me and stuff like that. So I think it's just building up that audience slowly and building up a good, solid brand around you instead of just pushing your content in every which direction.
Right. Well, I think that that's, again, the key to having more authenticity in your brand too, because it sounds like you make yourself accessible and you are responsive when people try to connect with you.
Yeah. And I think that that's something that a lot of the big guys are not doing, or a lot of people on social media who have a content strategy. Part of their strategy is not replying to, or it's just not in their plan to actually get back with people who reach out to them. And it could be as simple as just replying and saying thank you to people's comments. And I try to do that all the time on all of my on my posts and stuff like that I make. But I'll reply to people's DMs that they send me, and people will reply back to me like, "Oh wow, you're the only person who ever got back to me. I've I've sent messages to all of these people, and nobody ever gets back to me, etc." And mind you, I only have 30,000 followers. I don't have 350,000 followers, but I think that there's this kind of lost space to even grow that authenticity even more, is to actually keep that interaction and engagement with those people who are reaching out to you. And those people can be, walking salespeople for you and your brand if you just would reply to them. Yeah,
you're calling them walking salespeople. I would call them brand ambassadors, actually.
Brand ambassadors, too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Antoine, most successful people have a network of fans and followers, either online or in person, or hopefully both. Tell me how you've built your network of fans and followers, and has it been a conscious goal or has it happened on its own?
It was a conscious goal. It was a plan to grow a following and build a personal brand. Most of those followers came through Instagram, and really just posting good content and good information and giving value to the person on the other end who is watching that piece of content. And that's really what the goal was from the very beginning. There's no sales pitch in any of my content. There's no, selling me or selling any of my services. It's really just educating the person who's on the other side of the screen. And I think that that's what's made my content have success and has grown my following, is because there is no ask at the end of the day. It's not like, here, watch these 3 videos and then sign up for my course for $1,000. There is no ask like that. So it keeps people coming back because they know they're not going to be sold something or going to have the fear of being sold something.
Yeah. And you're obviously providing information that's helpful and that's serving their needs as well.
Yep.
So how has your network helped you to advance your career?
I think that it's helped me grow my business, which therefore has helped my career. Because now I have, this pool of people who follows me, who interacts with my content. And it also gives me authenticity in the marketplace as well, because people can go to our company, look up my content or myself personally and see me on different articles or different podcasts, and have, these followers on Instagram. So it kind of gives me this market presence, I would say, and authenticity when interacting with people. And they know that it's not just some random guy selling houses online. Like, here's my whole life and here's what I do and here's the whole behind the scenes. So it gives that transparency to the company and to me as a person, which therefore I think helps to build a rapport with the end client, if they even are a client. But building of that rapport and building that transparency kind of, and opening myself up to criticism and stuff like that, helps to build that rapport with people who are following me, which therefore, increases my business, and people want to do more business with me because I am transparent. I am telling everybody everything that I'm doing. There's no secret. And so now I have these people who all trust me through my content, and therefore they want to come and do business with me compared to the other guy, because I am transparent and we already have that built-in rapport.
Yeah. And I would venture to say the fact that you and your father and your brother, and are there other family members who are involved? I think that's probably appealing to prospective customers.
Yeah, that is. Some people have said that, we are a family business and we want to work with a family business. So that has definitely helped grow the company as well. And yeah, I would think that is another selling point and feature. And also just the story that we share as we started this company to grow our own personal real estate portfolio. But then it kind of turned into helping other people start theirs as well. So a lot of people love that story that we tell of how we got started into this whole thing and why we started investing in real estate. And that definitely helps to build that rapport again.
Well, when we're doing one of our Marshall plans for a business, we call that story your brand manifesto. Yep. So I think that having your brand manifesto or your story is important to connect with people and grow your network.
Absolutely. Yeah. Whenever I tell that story, people are kind of blown away. And yeah, it really takes the conversation to the next level and gets those people across the finish line whenever we tell them that manifesto.
Cool. So in your line of work, what's a resource such as a book, a website, or an app that you have found to be helpful and why?
I mentioned this earlier, but I would say Zoho CRM. We just upgraded at the beginning of the year. And it's saved me like 20 emails a day that I have to personally write up and send out because everything is automated. So not sure if that's going to help anybody else, but there's also another app that I use to schedule my Instagram posts. It's called Appy, Apphi. It's on iTunes App Store. It helps me schedule out my posts and on Instagram so that it'll just automatically post them for me. I don't need to wake up at whatever time and get the post ready to go. You can just preset it and then it sends it off when the time comes.
Perfect. That's great. And what would be your one piece of advice for someone who's just starting out in their career?
I would say, what value can you provide to the other person and the other person on the side of the screen? And don't really think about how it's going to increase your business or help your business grow. Just what are you learning and what should other people know, which is therefore going to make people come to you and want to do business with you once they have that knowledge. So I would just say, what value can you add to the end consumer without asking them anything? And I think that that's going to help increase people's sales and help people grow their business and really be grow in their space and build a rapport with people who could be potential clients. And then after that, be consistent and post on a continual basis, and don't think too hard about the type of content you need to post or where to post it. You should be posting everywhere, and you should just be documenting what's going on and what you're learning along the way, and really just documenting the journey of you and your business if you want it to be, a personal brand versus a business account.
That's great. Do you have one piece of advice you'd like to give to someone who's just starting out in their career?
Just starting out in your career, I would say to find a mentor and learn as much as you possibly can, and find a mentor who is in a place that you see yourself being in 10 or 20 years, and following them, following their first steps, hanging out with them, seeing how they interact with people. I think that, a big thing for me was when I first started, I had a mentor who was a commercial real estate developer, and it was only for 6 months, but I still learned a lot. And you kind of have this idea in your head, like, oh, this is what before you meet them, it's, oh, this is what a commercial real estate developer looks like and how they act and blah, blah, blah. They're doing $100 million deals and this is how they must act, or this is what they must wake up at 3 a.m. and work till 2 a.m. And then they're your mentor and you're followed around for 6 months. You're like, oh, wow, they're actually just a normal person. They're just smart with their time and smart with the people they hang out with and stuff like that. And it kind of changes your perspective, and then it kind of gives you that attitude like, oh, I can do this too. And it's very motivating.
Well, I would definitely agree with that. It's really good to learn from somebody who's been around the block a few times and to shadow and mentor them, or to learn from them.
Yep.
And then, I've been in my profession for a long time, so I enjoy sharing with people that are just getting started and learning from them as well.
Yep.
So what is one parting thought you would like to share with PR Maven Nation?
I would say be authentic, be yourself, and don't be afraid to put your face out there. What I mean by that is literally your face. A lot of people, when they're trying to grow their brand, they want to kind of hide behind their logo or, some fancy thing that they created. And I think that people love people. And, if you can the more you can put your face in your content, or in your post, or the more that people are going to have, people can build a relationship with a person, a face, a name, but it's very hard for people to build rapport with a brand, unless you're a Nike or something like that. But it takes a lot longer to build that relationship with a brand and a logo compared to with a person. So I think that if you're just getting started, I would definitely start with just building that personal brand. You're going to see the connections are going to come a whole lot faster and going to be a whole lot deeper than if you start with a logo. I
think that's really great advice. And I always say that from the time we are newborn babies and we look up and we see our mother's smiling face.
Yep.
Or she might be crying a little bit, but smile. We have that first eye contact with that beautiful face of our mother. And then from then on, throughout our lives, we want to look into the eyes of another person and make that connection. So I think that's very good advice. And, it's funny, since I have developed my PR Maven persona and the PR Maven podcast, I have a logo that's like my emoticon, and it's actually kind of, a character or caricature of me. And then I also have my Marshall Communications logo, which is a little more corporate. But every time people see like the Nancy version of my smiling face, even though it's just a cartoon character, they're like, oh, I love that, because it's a person smiling and waving and saying hi. So I definitely can resonate with that.
I agree.
So how can PR Maven Nation connect with you, Antoine, if they want to get in touch with you or Angela?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. My username is Martel Antoine, MartelAntoine. There I have my email address, my website link. If you want to go check out my website, it's martelturnkey.com. But probably the best way to reach out to me is just on Instagram at Martel Antoine.
All right. That sounds great. I'm definitely going to start following you. So, we talked about how we're all the way across the country. I'm in Portland, Maine today, and you're in Los Angeles, California. But thanks to technology, we were able to share this time together, and I really enjoyed it. And, I look forward to maybe meeting you someday. I mean, there's a hot real estate market here in Portland, Maine, so maybe you need to come see us here.
Yeah, maybe I do. Yeah, thanks so much for having me on the show, and happy to be here. So thanks so much.
Okay, great. Thanks, and thank you, members of PR Maven Nation, for joining us today.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the PR Maven podcast. For show notes, links, and guest contact information, visit prmaven.com. If you'd like to connect with Nancy and the rest of PR Maven Nation, be sure to find our group on Facebook. We encourage you to subscribe to the podcast and share our content to bring on great guests with more information. Plus, you can also connect with your target audience, build your network, and build your brand.